Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. Manchester United 2, Galatasaray 3. United losing again at home. In the Champions League, we're losing again. We just keep losing, don't we? It don't matter whether it's the Premier League, whether it's the Champions League, at Old Trafford, away from Old Trafford. We just keep losing under Erik ten Hag. And it's getting really worrying because I like this manager and I think he's the right man for the job, but how many times can you keep losing before serious questions getting asked? Because before the game, we were talking about how this was a must-win or at least a mustn't-lose, and we have lost it.
Yeah, I mean, it is just horrible, isn't it? And watching some of the things that are happening, some of the ways these losses are being totted up, is like, it's almost surreal at times what we're seeing. Certain games, like the Brighton game, we were just beaten by a much better team. Second half against Tottenham was terrible. But some of the things that are happening, like Onana tonight, was just shit. He just had a shocking game.
Yeah. He
wasn't good. I mean, obviously the pass for the penalty that led to the red card was horrendous. He was unfortunate for the first goal. It's deflected and bounces over him. I'm not blaming him for that. It literally just flops over him into the top corner. I'm not criticising him for that. But even their third goal, I
called him out on that.
Yeah. I can see what happens. He thinks he's going to smack it into the bottom corner, so he goes low and then he gets chipped. But you've just got to do better than that.
Should you be getting chips from 10 yards out?
Fundamentally, you shouldn't.
From when you're a 6'4" goalkeeper, whatever he is.
He shouldn't be getting chipped from there.
Unreal. So look where that ball travels and ends up. It goes like that into the middle of the goal.
And it only goes about 5 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It's not a big looper like the first one.
Like, look at it. Like, it's almost like there's no goalkeeper there.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to make it harder for the kid to score. Onana, who had a worldie in the Champions League last season, was terrible. He really was.
Yeah.
Rasmus Hojlund was fantastic tonight. I feel for him. He does not deserve to be on the losing side. But again, Bruno, not a good game for me, for Bruno. Wasteful with possession, wasteful with the ball, just snatching at things, shooting when he shouldn't have, simple passes getting wrong. Marcus had a good first half, then in the second half, he's got to do better when he's through one-on-one. Marcus Rashford last season buries that. It's not even a question. This season, it's like he's trying to prove to everyone that he's not greedy, and then his ball as well was very, very poor. But even after that, we score after that. I've seen people on social media going, Marcus cost us the game. That was at 1-1. We went on to score again in a minute, to score anyway. It was 2-1. So it's not like that cost us a game. No, we were winning after that. Why did we then lose? Why did we fall apart? What is going on? And I think, listen, the manager has to take responsibility for this.
What?
Every time we go in at our time, we come out worse. We do. Like, this season, it has been the story of the season. Spurs, we came out in the second half. We were poor. First half, I thought we did well against Spurs. Second half, poor. Arsenal, second half, okay, we were a bit unlucky, but we still lost. Still lost the game. We went in at 1-1 and came out, and then we lost the game. Brighton, I don't think we played well in the second half at all. I thought some of our performance during that second half against Brighton was atrocious. Palace, in the second half, we huffed them with puff, but we didn't get going. We didn't get the equaliser that we should have been getting at Old Trafford. And then tonight, half time, we go in 1-1. Who wins the game? Galatasaray. And this isn't just this season, this is going on from last season as well. Look at some of our second half performances last season. Last season at Old Trafford, stood there at Old Trafford, Leeds scored in the first minute. Yeah, half time you think, right, he's going to give him a rollicking. You come out in the second half, within 3 minutes, Leeds scored again. Anfield, first half, we're losing 1-0. Second half, we lost 6-0 in the second half. Like, it's a trait under Erik ten Hag. It's not just now. Like, we keep coming out for the second half, and for whatever reason, and we can say it's luck, we can say it's decisions, we can say it's missing certain players, whatever, but I just don't see United of old. In the second half, we were always better. We were. Even under Ollie. We came out in that second half, especially at Old Trafford. And I've been at Old Trafford, right? You go in at half time losing and you think, we'll win this. Not a drama, we'll win it. And we did. This season and last season as well, a lot of the time, we're coming out and for whatever reason, it's just not happening. And he's got to fix it. He's got to fix it. Because I can't keep saying the same thing as I keep saying is, got to win this game. Got to win this game. We'll turn it around now. This is a game. This is a winnable game. Galatasaray at home is a winnable game. Brighton at home is a winnable game. Palace at home is a winnable game. We've lost all of them. You can't keep losing football matches as Manchester United manager. And if you think that circus upstairs will give him time, I've got some magic beans to sell you. Do you know what I mean? They gave Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract and he sacked him within, 4 months or whatever it was of the new season. Jose Mourinho got a new contract, just finished second, just been to an FA Cup final. He got sacked before Christmas. That's what this board does. And that's managers who've, been popular or had credit in the bank and whatever. Erik ten Hag's had credit in the bank and he's quite popular, but he'll end up going the same way, he will. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we went into that third season with Ole, how many of us thought, this is the season, bought Ronaldo, bought Varane, bought Sancho, we're going to challenge for the title? And he was sacked by, what, was it October?
Something like that.
He was gone, wasn't he? Like, I fear for Erik ten Hag, I do. And I'm not trying to be melodramatic, and I'm not saying I want him gone, I don't. But I just don't see this board sticking with someone who keeps losing football matches. And especially when you're losing them in that kind of manner of against teams you should be beating, and at half time you're still in it, and by the end of the game you've lost. That's my concern.
The one thing I will say about Ten Hag in his defence is I think he's the right manager, and I think he's had a lot to deal with that he shouldn't have had to deal with as a manager in his first 14 months. He's had loads of things that ordinarily aren't under the purview of a football manager. You're, one of the greatest, most influential players of all time coming out publicly slagging off the club. First, I don't need to go through it all. Sancho, Anthony, Greenwood, everything that we've seen. Like, they really aren't a football manager's job to fix those things, and he's had to do that. I think tactically, at times we've lacked, but I do think that he has a tactical plan, and I think that we saw when he was at Ajax, that plan working against the likes of Real Madrid and other top teams. I know obviously eventually they went out against Tottenham, but I think they won the first leg against Tottenham. They are capable of beating top teams with underdog players because of his tactics. So he's not a manager who doesn't have tactics. I think some of the individual performances that we've seen this season from players have been incredible. Like Onana tonight has cost us the game. Yes, we were drawing when that happened, but we are down to 10 men because of him. We lost the game because of him as a follow-up to being down to 10 men, and his inability to stand up and catch the shot that went straight at him essentially by the end of it. I feel as though it's harsh to put everything on Ten Hag because we've seen this time and time again. That's the other thing. A lot of these players, regardless of who's managing them, are better than the teams they're losing to. We are better than Crystal Palace. We are better than Galatasaray. Like, it could be me in the dugout and we should still beat some of these teams. This capitulating, this repetitive, awful results, regardless of the performance, isn't just down to the manager. And I think that sometimes the players know, as fans and as pundits, not that we are, but pundits who are talking, as social media, that if they just keep losing, eventually it's the manager that takes the brunt of it. It's the manager that goes, they aren't going to get sacked. And they allow themselves to lose games, and they do stupid things that lose us and cost us games because they know they'll outlast the manager. Like, we've seen this year after year, time after time with manager after manager. These sets of results happens, the manager gets sacked, and we have a little uplift. Great. We signed a few players. Great. Things start to go. The manager's signings haven't been great. Oh yeah, things have dipped off. And then we lose 8 of the first 15 games or 8 of the next 15 games. The manager gets sacked and we see it again. And I'm sick of seeing it. Like, I
agree with what you're saying. I do. But I also feel that if you get rid of a goalkeeper who's been there for 12 years and replace him with a £60 million goalkeeper, and that goalkeeper makes mistake after mistake the finger's going to get pointed at you.
Of course, but the De Gea element of it, I think, is...
I'm not saying about irrelevant. Fans, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the board. That's what I keep saying. This board will look at it and go, this guy. That's my point. They saw it with Ole. We saw it with Jose. Jose Mourinho is one of the most successful managers in the history of football, literally. He got us to second in an FA Cup final, and he was gone by Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he
won't get sacked. I'm
not saying, but I'm saying he will if this carries on. And I think he could be gone by the end of October if this carries on. Seriously, I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but the board are going to look at this and go, "You bought this goalkeeper. You got rid of our goalkeeper who's been here since 2011. This is your man, and he's just literally cost us the game. Yeah, that's on you. These results keep going against us, and you can't fix it. You can't find a way to sort it out." After the Brighton game, we're like, he's got to fix this. Got a good opportunity against Crystal Palace. We beat him in the Carabao Cup. Next Premier League game, we lose. after the Bayern Munich game, I think we've got to fix that. Galatasaray at home, perfect opportunity, yeah? Probably not the easiest, but one of the easiest games you can have is Galatasaray at home. Certainly in this group anyway. It's either them or Copenhagen, innit? At home, yeah, perfect opportunity. And we lose again. And I think as well, and this is just my opinion, speaking to some fans and my mates, and you may disagree, I do think people back him, but I do think there's an element of fans at United who do look at that 7-0 against Liverpool and do look at that 6-3 against City. And if he did go, would go...
Yeah,
I do.
And people are
and
entitled to
I'm talking
opinion.
about just social media or whatever, people like Reds who always back the manager, I speak to them and they go, listen, he's the right guy for the job and all the rest of it, but if it does unravel...
Well, yeah, but I mean, and people are entitled to opinion. I'm not saying people are wrong if they think that. People can think that if they want to. I just don't agree. I just think that we're just going to see the same... No, I'm not saying he won't get sacked. I'm saying I won't be happy and I won't understand it and I won't accept it if he is sacked. I don't mean I won't accept. I'm not going to, start rioting. But I don't think that is a good decision if we were to sack
I agree with you. I
him.
don't think it is.
I just think
I think it's a bad decision, but I think it's a decision that will happen if we keep losing.
Yeah, I agree, of course. But I just think that,
and I think it'll
in the
happen sooner
meantime,
rather than later.
but I think in the meantime, we need to look at other things.
Like, listen, we all know, right? The
What's
Glazers,
the next
we all
step
know
if he
all
gets
roads
sacked?
lead to the Glazers, right? The Glazers are the overseeing of this football club. Since they came in, even under Fergie, we missed out on a lot of signings because of the Glazers. Like, let's not forget that, right? The reason City were able to get Aguero and David Silva and all these other players, a lot of the time, because you can buy into Fergie's no value in the market if you want, but a lot of it is the Glazers just gave him a limited budget and he was able to work within that and still win trophies because he's a genius. Post Alex Ferguson, we didn't know what we were doing. We're all over the gaff. Moyes and Mourinho and Ollie and Van Gaal throwing money at it, then not throwing money at it, then Ed Woodward calling the shots. Just an absolute horror show, right? There was just all sorts going on, which again, it all boils down to the Glazers. You look at the fact you got a leaking roof. You look at the mismanagement that's gone on. You look at the training facilities being allowed to, go from modern to vintage or whatever. A lot of it is all of it comes down to the Glazers. But week in, week out, in some of these results, the manager's got to take some responsibility.
So, I agree.
think the board will be looking at it, and this is what I'm talking about. And I know there's a few fans that will be as well, and I'm not just talking about the fans. I know, like you, I'm with him. I want him. I said this the other day. I'd give him to the end of the season almost regardless. I would. I'd say, look, get it into these players' heads. This kid's not going anywhere. Yeah, he's your manager. You better perform for him. Because I said to you upstairs, and I know this might sound a bit harsh, but I'll be raging if, we see Eric Ten Hag get sacked and then Jadon Sancho decides he wants to play for Manchester United again. I won't be impressed with that at all. And we saw a similar thing with Mourinho and certain players. I just feel that this board, with their history, what they have done with managers, that what they will look at with this manager, and last season was very good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good, very good. And what's gone on this season, if it carries on, like if we were to lose to Sheffield United and Brentford, I think he could go.
Yeah, I agree.
I genuinely do.
I agree with you. I'm not saying he won't go.
Yeah.
I think he shouldn't go.
No, I agree with that. That's smart. I don't think he should go, but I think there's a genuine fear in me as well. We could lose them games,
Yeah, I think we could. But this is the thing. This is what I'm saying to you: is that the reason that we could lose them isn't because Ten Hag is a shit manager.
No,
it's because the players now are at a point that we've seen, or over some of these players, some other players even before that, where they just go, "Fuck it, we're shit anyway." Like there's no reason why this team, managed by Neil Warnock, should be losing to Crystal Palace at home, followed by Galatasaray at home. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter who's managing us. We need to break this cycle where the players think that we can just fucking phone it in and lose games. And I know that some of it's been bad luck, and I've said that on this channel that I think we had a bit of bad luck against Arsenal. I think the Palace game last week, we were the better team, really, if we're honest. Palace barely did anything and won the game. But the fact that it keeps happening, and we saw it under Rangnick and we saw it under Solskjaer, where they just go out there and lose week after week. And I agree with you. We could lose to Sheffield United. We could lose to Brentford. We could just lose every single game between now and the manager getting sacked, which obviously will happen eventually if we keep losing. But we need to break this cycle because it's the same thing. We saw it under Jose. We saw it under Solskjaer. We saw it under Rangnick. I know he was never going to stay, but we still saw the players give up. We're seeing it now, the start to this season. Something is going on in the dressing room where the players are just not playing even remotely close to where they should be. And I can't be asked to see We've sacked him. Well, who's about? No one's about. Okay, let's put Steve McLaren into the end of the season. Then who do we get? Well, we're probably fighting for fucking Conte or someone like that. Where do we go if it isn't Erik ten Hag? For the people in the comments who want him sacked now,
really, go through. He's got a lot of super chats. Go through some of your super chats.
Who would you like to see in next?
There's a lot of people super chatting. I don't want.
Yeah, I know. Get your comments in, get your super chats in, get whatever in. We'll go through them. Clayton M says, "Sorry to the fans. I switched my Champions League notifications to red cards only, so I didn't get any score updates. The Casemiro red card is my fault." Fahad says, "Conceding all goals to individual errors tells the whole story. The manager has lost the dressing room. Brentford next. We know how all this ends." I mean, it's weird, isn't it? When you rely on individual brilliance to win games, that's a problem. And when you are losing games because of individual errors, that's also the manager's fault. Gucci Sensei says individual errors cost us again, not Ten Hag. Again, I hadn't read that. That's the same point. Mosky says, "I love Ten Hag and still back him, but I know this team and he's lost them. Gone by January probably. Another project in the bin. City 4 in a row. That's my fear, and that's your fear as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely see
regardless
City 4 in a row.
Regardless of what we want, we've seen this pattern too many times." Robin says, "Amrabat, Onana and Rashford did make us lose this game today." I think it's harsh on Rashford that
everyone's
he got
blaming. I know this is on socials, right? Everyone's blaming Marcus Rashford, for that chance that he should have either scored or squared it properly. It was well, that was at 1-1, right? We went 2-1 up after that, and then he got took off. So we're 2-1 up without him on the pitch. So I don't know how you can say it's his fault we lost that game. That's just hating on him for the sake of hating on Marcus Rashford. I'm sorry, it is. We're 2-1 up, Marcus Rashford isn't on the pitch. How is that his fault we lose? Where's the
We're
logic
winning
there?
when he gets taken off and it's his fault we lose.
That to me doesn't make any sense. If we'd have missed that chance and then they'd have scored straight away and we'd have lost the game, I understand it, I get it. But if you take a player off and you're 2-1 up, which is what we did, we swapped him for Garnacho. We were 2-1 up, weren't we, when Garnacho came on? Unless I'm misremembering it, then I don't think you can say Marcus cost us the game.
No, it's
he cost us a chance and what should have been a goal, but we scored after that. We were winning, and then he got took off.
People are just sick of Rashford, aren't they?
They are, man. They are. It's like how you can watch that game and go, Marcus Rashford cost us the game, when you've literally just seen Andre Onana give them the ball, cost us Casemiro getting sent off, and then more or less fall over when he gets chipped from 10 yards out. Bro, it's like people just want Marcus Rashford to just go and sign for someone else. And to be honest with you, he might be able to do himself a favour and just do that. Keep everyone happy.
Tommy McCartney says that Hannibal sub was atrocious. How many times have we conceded that cutback goal because Eriksen doesn't track back? No coincidence our defence all of a sudden looks shit when he's taken off. Whilst I agree to a certain extent, I think our attack also looked a hell of a lot better after Eriksen came on. I know he has weaknesses defensively, but I thought he, on the ball, was very good tonight, and I don't think that it's his fault again. Onana passes the ball straight to their striker. Maybe their second goal. You can sort of wish that Hannibal would have been tracking the man that actually ran past Casemiro.
I questioned it when he did it. I'll be honest. I questioned it at the time he did it, but then Eriksen did do well. My main worry is, and I've said this, I just feel like second half we're just always worse than the first half, man. It's a trait. It's like it keeps happening. I think there's only maybe the Forest game where I think we've really been better in the second half than the first half. And let's not forget the Palace Carabao Cup game, because we were good throughout the 90 minutes. But it's just constant. It's like every game we have these two things that go on in every game, right? Or three things that happen every game, more or less. Not like every single game, but more or less. After 80 minutes, we slow down. We concede straight after we've scored.
Yeah.
And in the second half, we're not as good as we're in the first half. And that has got the manager, right? And I understand your point, and I don't want him to go, but he's got to sort that out. He's got to.
Oh, he has got to sort it out.
He's got to, because he's fighting for his job here. And you make good points about his tactics at Ajax got him this, that, and the other, and I understand all that. But he's got to use that now, because now that board, and guarantee you now that board will be having a chat, even a group chat or whatever, and going,
what we thinking?
Because that's what they do.
Yeah,
they did it right. Louis van Gaal lost to Bournemouth, Stoke, and was it Norwich, and they sacked him. They didn't sack him there and then. They decided he was gone. They just waited till the FA Cup final was finished to do it, because you didn't hire Jose Mourinho that day.
No.
They spoke to Jose and they decided to get rid of Louis van Gaal. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer lost to City, he lost to Watford, he lost to the Scousers. Those are the three games that cost him his job, yeah? And if you look where he was in the league when he lost his job, we were better than we are now. Jose Mourinho, I think we lost to West Ham, we lost a few other games, didn't we? Lost to Spurs at home, lost to the Scousers again. And again, we were in a higher position than we are in the league now. That cost him his job. It's only a few results that do for you as a United manager under this regime when they make a decision. They look at a few games. After the 5-0 at Old Trafford, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you knew he was done.
Yeah.
You knew it. We and you said it. We said he's done. It's like, not right now, but eventually. This will cost him his job. And within 6 games, whatever it was, he was gone. Jose Mourinho, after certain games you went, I think there was the West Ham one, there's another couple ones you went, and then the Liverpool one, you thought, he's done. Liverpool away. And not long after that, I think that might have been his last game, to be fair. Obviously, all his last games, Watford. It's what they do. There's only Moyes. Moyes is the only one where they've literally waited until it's mathematically impossible for him to get top 4 before they've sacked him. That's the only one, and that's the outlier. That's not what they do. They don't go, we'll wait until it's mathematically impossible to get top 4 and then we'll sack you. What they do is they go, after a few shaky results or a few poor results, they go, this guy's not the one for us. Let's get him in. Like, did we really gain anything from the Ralph Rangnick era? Did that really give us anything? Like, no, but they looked at Ollie and they just went, nah, we're done with him. Let's get this guy in. Yeah. And this whole thing of he's going to come in and then he's going to move upstairs. Bro, we didn't even have a handover with Erik ten Hag. They had a phone call for 40 minutes from what has been reported. If you go on holiday, me and you would do more of an handover on this channel. Yeah. And he took over as manager of Manchester United Football Club. And the idea was that once he left, he was going to move upstairs and he was going to be like an overseer. And then when that wasn't going to happen, you think, all right, well, he's going to be able to talk to the new manager, Erik ten Hag, and give him all this info. And Erik ten Hag, whether you believe him, think it's right or not, just like, I don't listen to this guy. Like, it was just, my point is, it was all, the whole Ralph Rangnick thing just was pointless. And didn't achieve anything and again, at all.
It's promises of one thing and then them going back on it and actually, well, he's not going to do that now. He's not going upstairs. He's taking, who was it, an international job somewhere?
Austria.
Austria. Like,
just United. Like Steve sat there on the brew and he's like, I'm not having a dig at Steve because he was like, this guy, this is joined up thinking, gegenpress, and he's a guy who can create a football club, he can do that, and I love the fact he's moving upstairs. This makes sense to me. He's going to work with the manager, and if Erik ten Hag comes in or it's Pochettino, he works with him and it'll be great. I understand it. I thought, right, okay, yeah, and none of that happened. No, none of it did.
And there's also, anyway, yeah, it's the same people making those decisions that brought him in with this idea that all of a sudden United are going to be this gegenpressing team. Like,
that lasted 40 minutes, didn't it, against Palace, do you remember?
Yeah.
I remember that first half against Palace, right? First 30 minutes, I was at Old Trafford, and we were all like, this is amazing, this guy, oh my God, look at this, high press, gegenpress, and all this other stuff. And then it's like, going back to your original point, the players went, nah, I'm knackered now, you know.
Yeah.
Forget this. I ain't got time for this. And they just stopped doing it. And they stopped doing it for the rest of the season, basically. We never saw that gegenpress again. It lasted for 40 minutes against Crystal Palace at home.
And that's the thing that makes me really sort of want to push back against Ten Hag getting sacked, or the idea of Ten Hag getting sacked. Because how are we not seeing that this is just a repeating cycle? And something has to change. We are running out of available, proven managers. That's another thing. I know it's like, Chelsea do it. Well, Chelsea have stopped winning as well. Chelsea have won, I know they won the Champions League, which is obviously massive. I'm not discounting that. But they've not won the league since 2016, or whenever it was. 2015. They've not won the league in 7 or 8 years. They've won one Champions League.
2015? When was the last time Chelsea won the league?
2017 under Conte.
Conte,
So that's been 6 years now. They ain't winning it this season. They are on the cusp of being. They finished bottom half last year. So because eventually there's only so many Ancelottis and Joses and Gus Hiddinks before you actually start just having shit managers. That's the other thing. Who are United going to get that is better than Erik ten Hag, or better than Jose Mourinho, or better than Louis van Gaal? We're running out of managers who are proven.
The worrying thing for me with the whole Ten Hag situation as well is, right, we tried the Premier League stable manager who'd been at a club for 10 years and always kept them competitive in the Premier League, and who Sir Alex Ferguson thought was a great idea, with longevity and 6-year contracts, and this is gonna continue Fergie's legacy. The kid lasted 8 months, David Moyes, right? Then we went, right, David Moyes was far too inexperienced to be managing a club like Manchester United. We need the experienced, sort of venerable manager who's been at the big clubs, been at Ajax, been at Barcelona, been manager of the Dutch national team. worn a t-shirt, won't be overawed by it all. Comes in, we tried Louis van Gaal, yeah. He lasted 2 years, yeah, and then he got sacked. I said, right, that's not work. Right, who's the man? Proven winner, wins the title every time in his second season. Won the Premier League 3 times. Won the Champions League twice.
Has never not succeeded.
Never not
ever.
succeeded. The guy that the special one. You cannot go wrong with this guy. Well, we did. We brought in Jose Mourinho, who lasted 2 and a bit years, and he gets sacked. Yeah, and he go, right, let's just get someone in as caretaker, safe pair of hands, knows the club legend, done a bit of management
Get
as well.
Get the feel-good factor back.
Let's bring him in. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? You bring Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in as caretaker manager, yeah? He has this amazing run as caretaker. And when do you give him the permanent job? Do you give it him during that run? No. You wait until he's started losing football matches and then you give it him. And then what happens during that time? Then we go on the worst run we've had since ever. Lose 10 the next 12, whatever it was, right? But then Ollie sort of gets it together. He does quite well, finishing 3rd, finishing 2nd. Doesn't work out, you get rid of him. Right, now we go for something different. The Gegenpress, father of football, philosopher, trainer, coach, genius from Germany, who can build you a club from the top down. Let's get him in. We get him in, and then he's going to move upstairs. 6 months later, he leaves. The club's a mess. We finish 6th. We get battered every week, and we never hear from him again. Right, let's get the up-and-coming, shining star, the probably the best manager that is literally the best manager available. Won a lot at Ajax, practically. Semi-final of Champions League, title after title at Ajax. Plays football the right way. Let's get him in. Good first season, win a trophy, spend a lot of money, and we should be spending money, by the way. I'm not criticising that. Second season, and now what, we're in October, and I'll be honest with you, I really, really, really fear for him. I do. Not because I want him to go. I don't want him to go. But I fear for him because I look at the last 10 years at this football club and I go, managers do not survive bad runs. They don't. Ollie's the only one who survived a really bad run, and the only reason he survived it was because his bad run happened after we just made him permanent manager. Sorry, it happened during that time. So even our absolute morons of a board couldn't sack someone they just appointed, so they had to go, let him just keep going, and then got to the end of the season. Next season we finished 3rd. What's people saying in the chat?
Yeah, we've got
see loads of them now.
Jeff Franklin says this repeat the cycle argument is redundant. You replace the manager if they're underperforming. That's not the law. You don't have to replace a manager if they're underperforming. You know, I don't see Arteta as the greatest manager in the world, but there was a time where they lost, was it 8 out of 10 games or 1 win in 10 or something. Funnily enough, that win was against Man United, and he kept his job, and he's turned them into, you know, the 2nd or 3rd best team in the league, 2nd last season, top of the league for 90% of the season. And I just think that just the first bad patch that a manager hits, you get rid of him. It's just shit. And you can't say, oh, it doesn't matter who's available. If he's bad, you get rid of him. It does matter who's available. It does matter. Because if it doesn't, then you just get another shit manager in. How can you pretend, or how can you think that that's okay? To have no plan as to who's coming next and just get any old crap in and hope that a world-class manager sort of reveals themselves out of nowhere. You can't act like that's a plan. If you're going to sack someone, you've got to move forward as a club. Ideally, the next manager that comes in will be here 5-10 years, win loads of trophies. That's the aim. That's the target. So who is that manager? Are they available? Do they exist? And if they don't, why get rid of the current one? Sam Zed with a super chat. I've got a few super chats. Go through some.
Yeah, go for the super chats and we'll keep on.
It says, if Ten Hag sacked, then Murtough and Fletcher need to go too. They picked Ten Hag and seemed like they gave him the keys to the kingdom and sat back. Need a proper director of football. Danny Shield says, no, Jay, most games last season we went behind and fought back. Don't feed into the nonsense. That's Danny Shields.
No, we didn't know. That's just not true. We didn't, like most games, go behind. And for about a lot of them at Old Trafford we did. But there was a lot of games as well where we were worse in the second half, and we didn't turn up in the second half. Our away record last season was a chose. Look at the Spurs game, for example. What, we 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go, and then it all falls apart. I mean, I understand at Old Trafford there was a lot of games where we did rally and we did win games, but it's not just feeding into narrative. Look at it. Fucking hell, bro. We conceded 6 in the second half at Anfield. It doesn't get any worse than that.
The collective AU says Onana low in confidence. That's clear now. Defense is missing players. But most importantly, we just lack composure, especially after we score. Sean Thomas says, wonder how we're going to blame McTominay today. Yeah, we did nothing out there. Boyo says, stick with Ten Hag. There are positives. We'll get through it. Give it to Mike. He says, the sad fact is Ten Hag won't make the season. These players will see that the bums rush out. Wait, what? They'll see to it he gets the bums rush out. I don't really know what that means. But anyway, he thinks that Ten Hag's going to get sacked. Martian says, for once, I want the board to show some patience and stick with the plan instead of repeating this cycle. Look at Klopp, Arteta, or just look at Fergie. Baxter Esket says, getting rid of the manager will just put us in another progress period. We're in a position with a new manager that wants a whole new squad. I know that's the other thing, isn't it? You're just resetting another 3 years.
Do you know what, right? It's a good point, and I know we don't like to look at it, but someone mentioned Klopp, mentioned Arteta, and he mentioned Fergie. Klopp had a poor season last season. I know he had credit in the bank because he won the Champions League, the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup. I understand all that. It's not the same as when you've only won one trophy, but he had a difficult season.
They were awful last season.
They were terrible last season. And also, a couple of seasons before when he lost 6 on the spin at home or whatever it was. Like,
never
they broke all their records.
Ever at
and you can blame COVID and all that for the rest of it, but the opposition were playing in front of no fans as well. They didn't. Or other teams were playing in front of no fans.
They won the league in front of no fans.
Yeah, so like that's not a complete blanket excuse. I was just looking at it, funnily enough. Arteta last season, or season before last, sorry, had a run where I think he lost his first 3 games. There was another the season before where there was one where he won 1 out of 10. I think and that was against us, ironically. Like, they had bad runs. Sir Alex Ferguson, if you look at the season where we won the FA Cup in the league, we were awful. I think we had about a run of 1 winning 15. I think it was in the league. Which, can you imagine that now? So I get it, and I want this board to stick with this manager. I want them to. I think this manager's the right man for the job, regardless of the criticism I'm giving him. But I don't think he will survive if this carries on. And my main fear now is this could carry on, because I don't see it changing too much. I think today was better, but it's still not quite right. And yes, it's individual errors, I get all that. But we've got to fix it. It's got to fix it quick. And what worries me is it starts getting into players' heads. This run, this pressure, this whatever you want to call it. Not just our players, the opposition. Yeah. If you're Sheffield United or Brentford now, you're looking at United and going, this is the perfect time to play Manchester United. Do you remember when, under Moyes, when we had all these records that kept getting broke? Swansea's the first, Everton's first win at Old Trafford in 30 years, Newcastle's first win at Old Trafford in 40 years, West Bromwich Albion's first win at Old Trafford in 40 years. Do you know what I mean? Remember, like, it was like every time a team came to Old Trafford, they went, we can make history here. Yeah. Like, these guys are there for the taking, and we kept seeing all these records getting broken for the wrong reasons. And I just worried that our opposition players are going to be thinking, do you know what? We can do these today. This is it. Do you know what I mean? And it gives them a little bit of a lift. And I hope I'm wrong, man. I really do.
Just let me get into a few more super chats. Liam Pickering says, Pep and Klopp went through multiple keepers. Klopp and Arteta had horrendous seasons before any success. Sacking him is nonsense. And the comparison with Fergie, people look at that and go, well, he's not Sir Alex Ferguson, is he? No, but the point is, even a manager who is undeniably a genius, the best manager of all time, was capable of having really shit seasons as a manager. That's the point. It's not that if you stick with Ten Hag, he will become Sir Alex. It's that, there is no limit to how good a manager can be and still have shit seasons. Just because someone's having a bad year doesn't mean they're a bad manager. If they're the right person, that can turn itself around. People have to understand that. We're not saying he's Fergie. We're saying even Fergie had bad years.
You want to hear about a bad run, bro, right? This is under Fergie. This is the sort of thing people are talking about. Yeah, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games with no wins in the first division. And during that time, we lost...
Looks about 6,
1,
7,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I mean, that's a run and a half, that. Yeah. Like, that's when the banner came out, the Tara Fergie one, do you remember? Like, Pete Molyneux with his thing, 3 years of excuses, it's still crap. Listen, I think Erik ten Hag is the right man for the job. I think we've got some quotes coming up as well. I think Andre Onana is a good goalkeeper. Yeah. I think Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, whatever you want to say, are good players. I think they're all having a bad spell, and I do think they can turn it around. My worry is whether they will or not, or whether this manager will get the time he needs to turn it around. Have we got some quotes there?
Yeah, we've got some quotes.
Ten Hag quotes
from Ten Hag. First of all, he said, some fundamental errors, you can't allow them at this level. We're all together. It's not the only one. It's as a team that we make errors. We were twice up. You don't expect this outcome. We expect more. Together, the players with me, all together. Rasmus Hojlund as well. He says, we need to remember we can't concede goals right after we score. We've had a few games now where that's happened. It's a tough period, but we need to stick together. That's the only way we'll get out of it. I really do hope that if we're looking for positives, and I want to get to Hojlund in a minute because it would be remiss of us not to mention him. If we're looking for positives in terms of the manager's chances of being here at the end of next season, or at the end of the month, let alone the end of next season, there were spells of very good play from Manchester United tonight. It wasn't, and look at the Brighton game. It was pretty much shit for the full 90. There were a lot of good moments tonight. Mason Mount, I thought, had a good game.
Very good.
Rashford, I thought, had a fine game. Big wasted
good first
chance,
half,
but a good first half. Rasmus Hojlund was brilliant tonight.
Fantastic.
And it's such a shame for him that this game will be forever remembered as the first Galatasaray away win in 10 years. United 0 points after 2 games. Onana clangers. When really this should have been the Rasmus Hojlund welcome to Manchester United game. Because those 2 goals, the first one is just poaching, right place, right time, composed finish, letting the ball hit his head rather than putting any pressure over it, getting it over the bar. Brilliant finish. And the second one is exciting, rapid, strong, fast, aggressive striker, capitalising on mistakes and putting the ball in the back of the net with a lovely little finish. It should be a night of celebrating him, and instead we're having to talk about all this shit. But just talk about Hojlund a little bit, because we can't not mention.
Have you got a quote there from Rasmus Hojlund? You got the quote there?
Yeah, I just read that out.
Oh, sorry, I was miles away. I was watching a replay of that Dillo mistake. Listen, Rasmus Hojlund didn't deserve to be on the losing side. Didn't even deserve to draw that game. He had a fantastic performance, 2 great goals, like you said. And I think that if you can take one crumb of comfort from tonight, it's the fact that this kid is the real deal. We kind of knew it anyway. We'd seen glimpses, but that performance today was like a little bit of a statement. Like, look, he is the real deal. And now all of a sudden, he's got 1 United goal, never scored at Old Trafford. Now he's got 3 goals at his United career in 7 games, whatever it is. Decent numbers, fast, strong, can finish, either feet, can head it. He's got a lot. Do you know what I mean? He is an absolute gem. Yeah. And we kind of knew that already, but this has really cemented it tonight. Yeah. So I'm buzzing for Rasmus Hojlund. I just feel that we've just got, some of these other players have got to, they've got to sort it out. Yeah. And if I'm Marcus or Bruno or Varane or whoever in that change room now, I'm like, right, we've got to get together here. We've got to sort this out. It's not about, you were saying it before about tactics and all the other stuff. A lot of it is about just turning up. If we turn up against, is it Brentford next or Sheffield United? I keep getting it mixed.
It's Brentford on Saturday.
Brentford on Saturday, is that at OT? Mm-hmm. Brentford on Saturday at home, yeah? That is your chance. You win that and we're okay, yeah? Not forever, but nerves get calmed down. All right, we're back on track. Then you go to Sheffield United, getting a result, and we can get going again. But we said that ahead of the Palace game. We said it even ahead of the Brighton game. You've got to start getting these results. Yeah. Because I don't want to I'm repeating myself, but my main worry is whilst I want Tenag to stay, and I would give him all the time in the world, that's why I've just been quoting Sir Alex Ferguson records from 40 years ago, whatever it was. I don't trust this board. I just don't. I just think they're trigger happy. The other thing, they'll get rid of the bloke.
Yeah. That's my worry as well. The other thing that we need to look at when we're sort of slagging off Rashford and players like that, not that we are, but as fans and as football watchers, people do, is that I appreciate that one goal isn't always going to win you a game, but when you look at we scored against Arsenal and lost. We scored against Brighton and lost. We scored 3 against Bayern and lost. We scored 2 against Galatasaray and lost. It's not just the attackers that are the issue here.
No.
The fact that we are absolutely hemorrhaging goals all the time is unacceptable. And obviously it's a bit easy to say this, but some of that is because our left back, first and second choice, is injured. Our first choice centre back is injured. Like that, the fact that our one of our midfielders who should be playing in the middle is having to play at left back, thus taking him out of the midfield. That is playing a part in it. But that's the thing that I think, Ten Hag isn't immune from criticism. He has to find a way around that. Maybe we have to play slightly differently during this period while we've got all these injuries. Maybe we have to sit back a bit more. Maybe we have to account for the fact that we have got, a second string defence and we've got midfielders playing at left back. Maybe we have to account for that and play a different way. I think that's what we can throw at Ten Hag, is that we aren't finding ways around this when we should. Let me just get through a few super chats as well. Michael Cody says, sacking the manager will achieve nothing. Only another intimate appointment until the end of the season. We'll be worse off. I'm still backing Ten Hag. Jassow says, at this point, I would sack Ten Hag, get Rooney in. His last game with DC on Sunday, and at the moment, they are out of the playoffs. Yeah, that's good. Get a manager that can't even get DC United into the playoffs and bring him in as the United manager. That's good. Wayne Rooney's available because he's shit. Let's get him in.
That sounds like a United move.
I know.
That genuinely sounds like the sort of thing our board would do to the end of the season, because they'd think Rooney, everyone would love that. That'd get everyone on board. Like the fans would be happy, and it'd calm everyone down. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the right answer. Obviously, I'm not. But that is the kind of move I would expect. You've read them all out.
No, we've got a couple more. PJ says, stop picking a formation to suit the players and pick the players to suit the formation. He hasn't got many options in terms of players. Certainly, back five, he's playing pretty much all the fit players we've got. Drew Fourier says, I'm gutted, but I really hope we stick with Ten Hag. His win percentage is still far better than our other managers since Fergie. At least Arsenal also lost. If Ten Hag gets fired, get Zidane in. He knows how to win the Champions League and handle star players. I mean, he also probably doesn't want the United job, hasn't managed anyone in 3 or 4 years, and who knows how good he is when he hasn't got Cristiano Ronaldo banging goals in. What else we got? Even if Ten Hag gets sacked now, I don't think there would be many top managers who would want to come to United. I don't think there's many top managers who even exist that are free or available that we could get. That's the thing. I've asked, and no one in the comments that I can see, other than Zidane, has been able to put someone forward that would do any better. Fowd says we need a coach like Diego Simeone. Okay, maybe. I mean, can you imagine that football week in, week out? Should he drop Onana? It's an option, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's a good question. It's a good question because he bought that kid in by day.
Yeah.
And he might be for Onana's own benefit. You go, because you don't forget. You remember when Fergie dropped De Gea for Lindegaard?
Yeah.
Early doors, and he swapped him around a little bit, and he said, you know what, the kid's probably not quite there yet. Might need Onana. Onana's going to be feeling it after today.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, bring Bayern in and just say, look, you know what, have a couple of weeks where we'll just get yourself back, get yourself together, and let's give this other kid a chance. Yeah. And then they can vie for the number one spot if that's what it takes, or at least you take Onana out of the spotlight, because after that mistake, I think he made another mistake. I think that third goal is a mistake. I don't think that's him. I think it's in his head and he's
gone early, hasn't he?
Do you know what I mean?
He's gone too early trying to save it in the bottom corner.
And I think he's stopped being Andre Onana and started being someone else.
Just a few more super chats quickly. Nick B says it's easy to be loyal when times are good. Only in adversity will we see if this board has some balls. Remember why you hired Ten Hag. Back the man. Glory, glory, Man United. I agree with that. Chris Christodoulou says drop Onana versus Brentford. And Con says, do you think the back line trust Onana? I just find when your keeper is making mistakes, it makes the whole back line very shaky. I'm sure they'll be struggling too after this. I think up until now, I don't feel like I've seen that from the back four in the way that we saw last season, with them clearly not wanting to pass to De Gea at times. I don't think we've seen that yet, but again, we're walking towards that now, where even with the ball at his feet, which was the thing he was so good at, we've seen the first big mistake from him, which is pretty much, let's be honest, cost us the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it, as well, because, well, there's the Bayern Munich one. He came out after the Bayern Munich game, didn't he, and said, look, that's on me, and I actually stuck up for him and said there was still a lot of football to play after that goal went in. But tonight, it was woeful. Yeah. And the worry, again, I know, I'm sorry, I repeat myself. I want tonight to stay, but I just feel like this board are going to be looking at it as well, going, this is the guy that you brought in to replace David De Gea. Is he good enough? This is on you. I don't know, man. It's deflating, isn't it? But we're going to hear from Andy Tate in a minute anyway. So thank you. Make sure as well, everyone who's involved in the chat, that you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Also as well, we've got a live event coming up. Me, Joe, Adam McCullough, Stephen Howson and John O'Shea going to be in Dublin on the 28th of December. There's a link in the description, so make sure you can join us if you can. Joe, always a pleasure, brother.
Cheers.
Better days ahead, don't worry. You know what I mean? It's always darkest before the dawn. That's me, Joe Smith. I'm Jay Moyer. This has been a review of another disappointing night for Manchester United. Thanks for watching.